first EP collab, man. Oakland Vallejo, the Bay Area, stand up. I'm from that town. She from Vallejo. She said let's collab. She said okay, we all should play. Hot potato, whoever got the hottest vibe. Challenges like this, it's me, I'm the best. Like creative players on hunters, no less. The lines in your forehead just told me you stressing. Got G-O-D on me side, ooh, he blessed me. All these lies they tell it's a vaccine. They're acting it's so bad like it's wrestling. Keep my circle so small it's insane. If you made the cut then you're part of my team. Just like bowling at plank on strikes don't cut her. Attracted to the mind but I like my hooder. She gotta have a pretty face too.
Hey, welcome to the channel. Good afternoon to everybody. I am Mrs. Best. We are here to go over the 90-day, the single life tell all part 1. Please excuse me for looking raggedy. I was cleaning and doing stuff around the house. I've been all over the place today, but I was really excited to do this recap because when I tell you, I didn't quite know what to expect from a tell-all for the single life. This is my first time really watching 90 Days of Single Life, but I am impressed, to say the least, with the quality of entertainment. But I'm also kind of looking like, what the hell is going on? At moments, it seemed like the cast like each other. At other moments, it seemed like they don't like each other. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Anywho, let's get into it. So the tell-all happens. Everybody arrives. It's happening in New York, and we see Tyree, John, and Tim discussing the women. And Tyree, or Tim ends up mentioning that Tyree is a virgin, asking him questions about it. And, you know, he says he's a virgin because he just never got there. He never made it to the point of where, you know, he could have sex, and he just ended up getting old. He's only 34, but it's not old, but in like virgin years, I guess people view that as old. Nothing's wrong if you're saving yourself till marriage and all of that, but he should at least have dating experience, I think is my thing. But Tyree's so sweet. So Natalie comes out and they basically are asking her if she would be okay being with a man with a virgin. And she's like, I just want to be in love. And, you know, Tyree says in his confessional something I was thinking, a lot of single people, they all tend to kind of think a little bit similarly, just like people in relationships usually kind of have similarities in how they think. So in my opinion, I don't think it's best to listen to somebody single about how to get advice, or somebody in a fucked up relationship about how to, you know, find love and all of those things. I think with sex, it just should be natural. So, and I don't like how the show's kind of allowing them to make a mockery of this. I know that it probably does bother Tyree. He looks a bit uncomfortable, but he's so kind that no one can really come for him, if that makes sense. So Chantel's name then comes up, and everybody seems bothered by Chantel having her own squad to do makeup. If you watched 90 Day, The Single Life, The Family Chantel, if you follow Chantel on Instagram, then you have an understanding that this is somebody who has had a lot of success from reality TV. She's gotten her degree. She's got brand ambassador deals. She's got celebrities interested in her, all sorts of stuff. And that's good for Chantel, her success. But the cast seems jealous, all of them. Like, Debbie didn't like the things that Chantel was doing as a whole, I guess, but I don't like how they all talking about it around each other. Just wait for the tell-all. Essentially, you're all on this show because you're desperate. I'm sorry. You got to be really fucking desperate to intentionally go searching for someone in another country. That's weird to me. Date who's available, one of the millions of people in the country that you're in. The only ones who's kind of makes sense, I know Chantel met Pedro in like a Spanish class or something like that. So that makes sense. That was more natural. But most of these people are being taken advantage of, or just bad dating. So it's weird that they have so much to say. And I don't understand why the cast gives a fuck what she's wearing. What Chantel was wearing, you know, I didn't care for it, but, you know, I don't see why it's a big deal or why anybody would care. That's just a little dramatic to me. Before we move on, shout out to the replay gang. A lot of people watch our live replays once we're no longer live. I appreciate you guys so much. You keep the channel going. So hello. And again, sorry for looking raggedy. I'm tired, y'all. So Veronica is concerned about, before the show actually starts, and you know, Veronica expresses that she's concerned about Tim and Jamal seeing each other because she feels like if it gets too heated, Jamal will try to assault or hit Tim. And she gonna say, and Tim can't defend himself. how do you know Tim can't defend himself? Is there something I'm missing that, y'all need to tell me about Tim? Comment, if you true 90 Day fans, comment if there's something about Tim that would prevent him from fighting a disability, an injury, something. Other than that, I've known men who's 2'2". My husband's actually only 5'2", and he will fight. So I don't understand why someone's size or personality, whatever it is, means they can't defend themselves. No offense. Tim and Jamal are really fucking sassy, in my opinion, but I will get to that. So the host for the show comes out, and basically we begin with relationship updates. And we learn that Chantel is still in contact with Giannis, who she met in Greece, and Veronica and Jamal, they are currently broken up. We know that Tim and Louisa, they have not progressed, so they are no longer dealing with each other either romantically. John and Megan are living together in Texas. Miss Debbie and Ruben have stayed in contact, but I'm not quite sure if it is the type of contact that has to do with an emotional or romantic relationship, just because she did say she found out some things about Ruben the Cuban as she was walking into the event. Moving it along, Tyree and Raina, the girl that he was talking to in New Orleans, who he went on a date with, kicked it with, they are still friends and talk to this day. And Natalie informs us that Josh has asked her for another chance at being with her, which surprised the hell out of me. Honestly, just for fun, if I go through most of these relationship updates, I am not surprised that Chantel is still in contact with Giannis. I am not surprised that John and Megan are still living together. And I'm also not surprised that Miss Debbie and Ruben have stayed in contact. What I am surprised about, I'm also not surprised Tim and Louisa broke up, or Veronica and Jamal. So I guess the only one that surprised me is Natalie of this cast. I'm really surprised that Josh wants another chance. But Natalie's beautiful. I don't like her. She's a gold digger. She's not looking for love in the right way. If you have to equate finances and a man's stability or anything like that with love, I don't think you really love him. I just don't. So we'll see what happens with that. Moving it on along, you guys, do me a favor and like the video if you have not already. It makes me smile, and it's an easy and free way to support the channel. It'll also recommend other channels to you from creators like myself who have content that you may like. So do me a favor and like that video. Subscribe if you really like me. Anywho, moving it along, we then move on to discuss Veronica, Tim, Jamal, and Louisa. And while explaining the friendship of Veronica and Tim, because they were exes. He was in her life for 12 years, raised her daughter for 12 years, still talks to her daughter, apparently. They're not together, but now they claim to be best friends. I don't think couples like exes can be best friends. To me, that just seems weird, if that makes sense. Like, I just don't feel that. And if it works, it's going to make someone else uncomfortable. And it's just hard. I had a male best friend for many years, honestly, one of my closest friends, regardless of gender. But I found out that he was telling my family he's in love with me, struggled, went through all of this stuff when I got married. And I'm like, that's just a little weird. So we're cool now, but it's like, it'll just never be the same. And my husband don't really fuck with it like that. So yeah, it can be real messy, y'all. It can genuinely be really messy. So moving it along, they're explaining their friendship, and then they cut to the back, the camera showing Louisa in the background. I'm so hot. I'm getting so hot. And I'm thinking, is she going to have a panic attack? But then they come out, and I see, oh, no, they're pissed. And I'm like, why are Jamal and Louisa so pissed? I feel like they hyped each other up in some weird fucking way, because I'll explain my opinion in a moment. But they come out, and they go over immediately the issues and the fight that Tim and Jamal had. Feel free to check the TLC recaps. You guys can go watch my episode recap and review, so you can see my live opinion on the argument that Tim had with Jamal when Jamal came to Charlotte to visit. I just feel like Jamal took the pussy way out. He wants to blame it on tequila. But then he also blames it on Veronica, saying that he only did all of that because she was talking shit about Tim. He's like, they talk shit about each other to each of us, they said, Louisa and Jamal. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're going to talk shit. they have a relationship, and Veronica says this later, like family, like, and you gonna talk shit. Sometimes I call my friend and I talk shit about my cousin, or my friend might call me and talk shit about her cousin. That's what people do when they're family members. They're not dating, so I don't see the big fucking deal. So basically, Louisa and Tim, basically, Louisa and Jamal say that Tim is a liar. They say that they are faking their relationship. Tim and Veronica are faking their relationship, and that they're apparently not as close as they're allegedly, claimed to be. Listen, I don't expect anybody to give us 150% authenticity on reality TV, especially in 2024. I just don't. I think a lot of reality TV in today's time is produced, so it doesn't make sense for me to believe that people are going to come on here showing us everything, knowing that they're going to be on tabloids. This is around forever. Just in the age of technology, I think people are aware now and careful about what the fuck it is that they have to offer. But in my opinion, Veronica and Tim, after watching the whole exchange, Veronica, Tim, Jamal, and Louisa, honestly, Tim was the most mature on that stage. They all acted like children and act like they all got feelings for each other. They need to just be like, what is that? Polyamorous? They need to figure that out and get into that, because they're all too much. But in my opinion, Veronica and Tim need to realize that having a friendship, especially a very close-knit friendship with a significant ex, not just a regular, like, oh, we dated, we broke up, ain't spoken, no, like a significant ex. This man participated in helping you to raise your child. You know what I mean? You have to expect that this is going to be uncomfortable for anybody that you date. Your future husband, wife, it's going to make it harder. That's weird, because they have to be reminded of who used to hit it. That's weird. So Veronica admits that she and Tim are not as close as they used to be. And when she says that, Jamal stands up. Jamal is extra in the sassiest way. He tried to throw a lot of like shady digs to kind of allude that Tim is gay and things like that. But those same digs could be thrown back at Jamal. Act like a fucking adult. Act like a man. My nigga, sit the fuck down. It's not that deep. And you're doing all of that to a guy who you know is not really going to fight you and do all of that. So it's like, just stop, Jamal. I didn't understand it. But they are basically pissed off, Louisa and Jamal, and they're thinking, and you could tell that they plan to just air shit out. But Tim and Veronica literally confirmed everything that they tried to air out. And this seemed to piss off Louisa and Jamal even more. And, the cast agrees, and Chantel weighed in as well, that it is odd to have a friendship, and they just have to accept it. It's odd. No one's telling you guys not to be friends, Tim and Veronica, but it is odd for those who are dating you. If you can't fucking see that, if you can't acknowledge it, you're going to have trouble anytime you try to date people. It's a fact. But we do learn that Jamal broke up with Veronica by sending a text message that said, take care, and a peace sign. And she didn't understand why, because they were in a good place and he never told her why. Now, first, and this is how you know Jamal is just as much of a fucking liar as he tries to paint Veronica as. Because in the beginning, he basically tells us that he did not break up with her. Then he suddenly later on admits that she did. So Jamal basically feels that Veronica tried to spin him as being a broke black boy, basically, who, is living with his mom and all of this stuff. When the reality of the situation, he says, is that he had his own place in New York, which is the most expensive city in the country to live in. And he said he moved to back to California, because his mother was going through something and he needed to assist her. Nothing's wrong with that. Personally, without reality TV, I don't know what most of these people will be doing. I'm sure that they'd be okay. I don't like that. I think it's stupid to attack people for jobs and things like that. And if she did know, which I assume she did because they were dating, that he moved there for his mother, then shame on you, Veronica. I don't know. Something about Veronica drives me like away. She seems like she has a really big ego and that it causes problems, and she struggles to admit when she's wrong. She also does seem a little manipulative, but I don't think that she is any less of a liar than Jamal or Louisa. I think they're all lying about something, honestly. I don't trust any of it. The shit is weird. But Veronica gets basically upset because Jamal is like, basically, Louisa says Veronica called Tim trash, Jamal trash, and a couple other people trash when she was drunk, which I believe. I do. But Veronica denies that she said these things and freaks out. I own my shit. And then she suddenly starts speaking Spanish, which I don't get why you're doing that, because you know it's going to be subtitled. It's almost like you're trying to have a one-up on Luisa. Like, yeah, bitch, I speak Spanish too. It was just weird. But she leaves the stage and basically says in Spanish that Luisa's dead to her. And I believe Luisa now thoroughly, because why you leave the stage in such a dramatic way? That's like a defensive response, letting us know that you're not innocent at all. There's nothing innocent about you. So they go to commercial break, and this bitch Veronica ends up coming back onto the stage, and she says that, or Jamal basically says to her, I broke up with you because it was all too much. I had stuff going on with my mom. I had stuff going on with you, this drama with Tim. He said it was all too much, and he said we simply do not work. He does end up apologizing, and then we move on from this weird polyamorous, not poly situation that it was. Here's my thing. I don't buy any of it. I feel like everything that everyone said likely happened at one point and was true to some extent. I also feel like they're all manipulative and try to spin the truth. I get it, but at the end of the day, the way I view it is I don't feel sorry for anyone in the situation. I would never date someone that close to their ex. I would never do it. I just would not. I thank God for the husband. Shout out Mr. Oh So Best, but I would never date someone that close to their ex. I just think that is a red flag that Jamal and Luisa ignored. Jamal and Luisa both started out rocky. Luisa and them hung out, her and Tim, and then it went nowhere. And then he got single. Now they have time to be with each other. And then Jamal and Veronica were sleeping together, and now they want to try and be a couple. Both of the same way you catch them, the same way you lose them. And we see this with this couple dynamic. So that's what I will say about that. There's only so much I can say. Do me a favor, if you are still here, like the video for me, even if you're a part of the live replay thing, Thug Life, and thank you guys for watching me. I appreciate it. We're going to move on. I'm just glad Jamal apologized. It was the first time he was accountable, and I think that it helped. I would love to find out at a later time, though, why Luisa is so fucking pressed. Moving on. We do move on to Tyree. And Tyree basically is discussing his journey. We're not going to be on Tyree for too long. I'm not going to berate this man for being a virgin. I think it's good that he's been careful with his dick instead of running around, putting it and allowing it to spit liquid into these women and create children that they're not there for. So very good to you for being responsible, because a lot of you men and women will just get pregnant or get a bitch pregnant, and that's irresponsible. Have sex, have fun, use protection. Pulling out does not count. Pay attention to sex ed and you'll know why. Anywho, basically, Tyree is still a virgin. All the women root for him and say kind things. You could tell women like him. I love Tyree. He's so kind. I think a lot of women feel like they could have met him at a time that they were like in the right mind space or maybe younger. Like, he just seems like somebody sweet, like who will really value the person he's with. And I think that's a wonderful thing for him. And he's not ugly. Yeah, he's a big boy, but big boy's been getting coochie forever. Listen, Notorious B.I.G. was big as hell and not cute in the face. Tyree is big, but he's not bad in the face at all. So shout out to you, Tyree, if you watch this. Shout out to Modesto. Y'all are about 2 hours away from me by car. I'm in the Bay Area. He seems really kind-hearted, and I hope that people are being kind to him. So speaking of kind hearts, we learn the opposite of that when we see Sarpar, who is self-proclaimed to have slept with 2,500 women. He says he has slept with, and he's from 90 Day the Other Way. I don't watch that segment, but looking at him, I'm glad I don't. He says that Tyree's giggle is the thing that's turning the women off. I agree. His nervous laugh and his nervous giggle, I get that it's something that's nervous, but when he does it, it kind of makes you nervous as well, or nervous for him, you know? But that's something he can't control. Everyone has a little nervous responses, you know? It could be a turnoff for some, but I do think the giggle's probably making him friend zone himself. Now, Sarpar takes it too far, talking about being a virgin at Tyree's age is nothing to be proud of. I thought that was so cruel. Nothing's wrong with that, bro. Nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that at all. My husband will tell you, and there's nobody that can come on this internet saying they done slept with me, really. I've slept with in my entire life, literally a handful of people, if that. So nothing's wrong with that. Not everybody is as promiscuous as others. And I don't think we should disrespect him like that and say he should be ashamed of himself. He got his own spot. You know, he's got good friends. He's got a career on reality television. He's got a lot that many don't have and so much value. So it's weird that this guy who's running around the internet looking for people who got something to say about Tyree. That's just how I feel. Miss Debbie don't like that Miss Debbie loves Tyree. You know, Miss Debbie is Southern. She's also 68. She's old. She's from an entirely different generation. And she's Southern. So she respects that. And she from Bible Belt State. I'm trying to tell you, she respects that a lot. She went bad on Sark Park, told him about himself. All he could say is, I where I'm from, we don't disrespect our elders, so I can't say what I want. He can't. Listen, Miss Debbie's at the age, I'm not from the South. Much of my father's family is. Shout out to New Orleans and all of you guys down there. Love y'all. But yeah, I take it. If old person start tripping, sometimes you just got to take it. And because they old. If people raised right, get it. You'll get it. Anywho, we move on to the last scene of the show, which is discussing Chantel and her dating. And you know, Chantel's been in the tabloids. She's been rumored to be with Waka Flocka, though we know he now has a new girlfriend, the Tammy Rivera lookalike. But she was seen with Waka Flocka, kicking it with Miss Deb, who's his mom. Very elite, well known. I wouldn't say elite, but they're well known. She was also rumored to be dating Drake, and that Drake was in her DM. Now, when it comes to Waka Flocka, she admits to hanging out with him, which means that Chantel is pretty much an open book and will tell us what's good. But when it comes to Drake, when they ask her, was Drake the star who was in your DMs? She says she's not going to say anything about it. For those who don't know, that means I signed an NDA and I can't confirm nor can I deny that she talked to Drake, allegedly, because I'm not trying to get sued. But usually when they respond like that, there's probably an NDA. When you get to a certain level of being known, it is common for the women that sleep with these men or date these men to sign NDAs to protect their image. It's absolutely normal. It's been happening for ages. So, you know, if you talk to him, I don't really care. Chantel's beautiful. I'm not surprised she could pull these people. So it is what it is. Now, Chantel says, when asking about love and what she wants, she says all these materialistic things. I want a man with a job who's 6 feet tall and has washboard abs and is well endowed. Chantel's mom, I understand wanting to teach your children, especially if you have daughters. I understand wanting to teach your daughters confidence. I understand wanting your daughters to feel like they're going to win or can have the man that they want, not to settle. But let's be realistic. You're not going to find a perfect man. Everyone that's had lists as long as Chantel's are still single. Chili from TLC had that list. Ran off men that probably would have married her. Now she's dating some boy from Boy Meets World. I'm just saying, like, even Veronica said that. And look at her situation, still single. Now Chantel has this list. Having a list and being specific, materialistic, and shallow should not be a part of your love at all. And when it is, you struggle to find it. I hope Chantel finds it, but I do think she is letting certain things get to her head. Girl, if you don't get off our TV screens and go find somebody up in that hospital, get you a doctor. I bet you can find what you want in that hospital, Chantel. But the cast tried to school her. She wasn't trying to hear it. I did like that Miss Debbie called out Chantel's friends because they went from materialistic to all the behavior Chantel did. Chantel, y'all know I love Chantel. I do. She is the reason I was recapping The Family Chantel, which you guys can rewatch my recaps if you like this in the TLC playlist. But Chantel, she was thirsty this season. I was honestly surprised that Giannis kept talking to her. And it has, for me, it's nothing to do with the pantyless, nothing. It's just, she was literally like, hi, I want to date you. I'm available. Come take me home. Like, that's what she gave off. I am not calling her a hoe. I'm just saying she hasn't dated in a while. I don't think we should beat her up for it, but she definitely came off as thirsty. The cast, though, they're discussing her trip and her friends come up, excuse me, and Miss Debbie got her friends. She's like, I don't like that your friends encouraged you to be having that one night stands and running around a foreign country pantyless. What I didn't like is her friends trying to push her to make out with hella people, get different phone numbers. I understand they were trying to uplift her, but that's how you know those are more so her employees than her friend. The one who was actually her friend, I can't remember her name, but we've seen her on the Family Chantel before. The one who's not the hairstylist or the makeup artist. She was given a little bit of different advice and offering to leave and stuff like that. They were just trying to push Chantel to sleep with people, twerk, and do all these crazy things. And I don't think that's the right thing to do as friends. She needs to heal. She was just fucking divorced. But I don't think that Miss Debbie should judge Chantel, and it came off as judgy. Basically, everyone on the cast judged her and was like, you came off like a whore. They said, don't whore yourself out. And Chantel stops it. She's like, I feel attacked. And the cast did make a good reference. I believe it was Tim. If you want to attract a high class man with washboards abs and a good job, who is, you know, all those little things that she listed, you got to be what you want to attract. Someone told me that. Shout out to Be Money, Be Manifested. She's a philosopher, a good friend of mine, as well as a very talented rapper and poet. And she always said to me, and this is something that's worked and kept me peaceful. I was like, man, it seems like I keep having problems with people. She was like, you need to look at what is within you or the error within you that's causing you to attract the type of people that are not good for you mentally. And I looked at that, and it's a thing. And since then, I've had better interactions with everyone, honestly. And the cast says to Chantel, it makes the reference, if you want a high class man, then you need to act high class. And I kind of agree. What does Kempire say? Twerking on the fence. But I really do kind of agree. If you want a husband, it's probably not best to be, I'm gonna talk to all these niggas until one of them makes me a female. No, get to know the person, and if they take too long to move on, don't talk to a bunch of people at once. That's stupid, because then they're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna be mad about it. You are what you want to attract. So I think it was Tim who said it. If you want a high class man, act high class. And Chantel is high class. This is a nurse and woman that comes from a 2-parent household, a former wife. So, you know, and she's not the girl that's just bouncing around. So, you know, I do want her to do a little better. And I liked what Tim said also. He was like, look at yourself. You're beautiful. You could pull people just with your face. You don't need to show your body. And I appreciated Tim for saying that, because I think that's what everyone was trying to say. Like, you don't need all of that. You just don't. And she can be sexy without being thirsty. Like that same dress without the panties, nobody would have had a thing to say if she wasn't yelling out to the world that she didn't have on panties. Nobody would have had anything to say. But she made it a big deal. And if that's production, then don't let production whore you out. That's just how I feel. So last thing we see is Chantel's mama getting mad when Debbie is explaining these things to her. Miss Karen is crazy as hell. Listen, Miss Karen looked sexy at the reunion, but she had her drawers on. I think that it's important to be honest with each other, your friends, your family, your children, all of that. Chantel is also new to the dating scene. When this film, her divorce was finalized only like a couple months. So I do think she deserves some grace, but get her out the way so we could get to bullshit with Natalie and Josh and Michael next week or the week after. So that is pretty much all that happened on this episode of the Tell All. This is part 1 of the season 4 Tell All to 90 Day the Single Life, which airs on TLC. I appreciate everybody who's watched my recaps of the shows. What we're going to do is we always end our lives by playing the music of an independent artist. It's usually Also Best. So today we will do that. Also Best is my husband, my spouse. We've been together 15 years. Shout out to him. Shout out to Black Love. If you know, you know. Anywho, he makes music. We are going to listen to a song from his EP that just dropped earlier this month, titled Sincerely, EXO and Oso. So we will definitely be listening to a song from that EP titled Light. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, live replay gang. I love y'all. If you like the songs that you hear, feel free to tune in. We also do music reaction, music reviews, and interviews, and much more content will be coming for 2024. So I appreciate all of you guys. The next recap that will be on my channel is going to be for Love and Hip Hop Miami, which will be coming on right after this video. So stay tuned for the channel. I love you all, and I hope that you all have the very, very best of weeks.
I just wanna fight. You are always on my mind. I just wanna vibe, but you're always on my mind. So I get high to pass time, baby. You are my life, yeah. 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 You are my life, yeah.
You shine bright like a diamond when my power's off. So forgive me with your love, you my feel of sauce. Do not think that I'm crazy, but I'm the man that I am, cause you helped me. Tell me lady, you're my shawty, I'm broken, you work for me. Like a ruby, you steady shining, you just tested my life, perfect timing.
Yeah, I love you more than you know. Yeah, you got me feeling special. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm a handful. Yeah, thank you for saying that I'm handsome. Yeah, looking at your eyes and you're beautiful. Writing I love you in a handle. Baby, you are my life. Baby, you are my life.
Okay.
I just wanna vibe, but you're always on my mind. So I get high to pass time, baby. You are my life, yeah. 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 Needing your love like now, keeping my life like wow. No longer lost, not found since you came around. You are the light of my life. You are the light